Aw, animals.
NYU student gets 45-day jail sentence for bird slaughter. A 19-year-old student has been sentenced to jail following his involvement in the brutal decapitation of a protected albatross population in Hawaii. On December 27, 2015, on a camping trip, Christian Gutierrez and 2 other students hiked to the natural reserve in Honolulu, carrying a machete, a bat, and a pellet gun. They were heading to a Laysan albatross colony, which has long been protected by the federal government as part of a 26-year conservation effort. Using their weapons, the teens beat 15 of the birds to death, destroyed 17 of their nests, and smashed 11 of their eggs. Adding to the depravity of the killings, the teens were also accused of cutting the feet off many of the birds so they could retrieve the ID bands for souvenirs. Those birds were then tied together and thrown over a cliff into the ocean. This feathered massacre is expected to set conservation efforts back by a decade. The 2 others involved were 17 at the time, so their punishments will be handed out in juvenile court. But as Gutierrez was 18, he became the face of the savage crimes, even though he claims he was peer pressured into taking part. During his sentencing, a stuffed albatross was kept on the prosecution table to remind everyone of the lives most affected. With an average 7-foot wingspan, the Laysan albatross are seen as guardian spirits by natives of Hawaii. Prosecutors explained that they are peaceful and trusting birds who do not recognize predators. Gutierrez will serve his jail time immediately and hopes to resume his studies at NYU once he's released.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
Humans do help birds from time to time. Duck ramps installed in D.C. Some good news out of Washington for once. Duck ramps have been installed at the Capitol Reflecting Pool, located on the east side of the National Mall. The move was implemented on May 15th by Capitol officials in charge of preserving the historic grounds, in an effort to lend a hand to the resident flock of ducks who return to the area every spring. The pool's an awesome tub for the mallards, but the limestone curbs make it difficult for baby ducklings to get in and out of the water. With a little practice, they'll be running up those ramps in no time. What a nice thing to do for our feathered friends, right? Well, actually, some don't agree, namely Republican Congressman Mark Walker, who ruffled the feathers of the internet by tweeting out, "If it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, it must be government waste." Jeez, talk about a Debbie Downer. Walker's comments were quick to set off a mudslide of mocking tweets by users as their way of politely flipping him the bird, so to speak. User Eric Fernandez struck back with, "Donald Trump has made 21 trips to the golf course in 16 weeks, and this dumbass is talking about government wasting? Nice one, Eric." User Infinite Just Liker heckled, "Imagine going from being an obscure congressional nobody to that who hates ducklings." Haha. And user Noel chimed in, "Next up, puppies, rainbows, and mini muffins. Man, if they even think about trying to take our mini muffins away, that's when things will really get ugly." But it's nice to know one silly goose in Congress can't spoil all the fun. Now that the ramps are in place, no longer will we see any innocent little ducklings drowning from exhaustion or dying from starvation because they can't get out of the water. Just more of this.
New Zealand underpass built to allow penguins to cross the road. Because of humans, little blue penguins have no choice but to cross man-made roads and often get killed doing so. It hasn't always been a safe journey until now. An underpass in Oamaru, New Zealand has been constructed to allow the penguins a stress-free passageway. The world's smallest penguins, the blue-feathered kororas, live across the coastlines of Australia and New Zealand's North and South Islands. By the water, they typically forage for food, which they then must transport back to their nests for their baby chicks to eat. The penguins only come ashore after dark, but humans have made the trip a dangerous one, with cars being a nightly threat. The blue penguins in Oamaru are often observed making the trek across the coastal road, and cars are usually held up while hundreds of the flightless birds pass. To remedy the situation, the town council, tourism board, and several local businesses came together to build the penguins an 80-foot underpass, a tunnel stretching from the harbor all the way to their colony. The project was completed in September, and the town's 75,000 tourists and nature enthusiasts can now flock to watch these little 1-foot-tall, 2-pound birds scurry across the underground pathway safely to their nesting grounds.
83 penguins from the Detroit Zoo happily waddled to their new home. 83 penguins got their 15 minutes of fame on Thursday, April 7th when they took a stroll in Detroit. From Gen 2 to Macaroni, the happy waddlers got the, blue carpet treatment as they relocated from their old habitat at the Detroit Zoo to the new Polk Penguin Conservation Center, the largest penguin facility in the world, slated to open April 18th. The penguins are moving on up. The new facility will have 10 times more water habitat, giving the swimming birds 325,000 gallons of 37-degree water to play in. It will be the deepest penguin aquatic environment anywhere outside their native Antarctic waters, allowing them to dive 25 feet below the surface. That's one big swimming pool. Happy moving day, little guys!
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
A Portland, Oregon police officer put a chase on hold in order to aid a group of ducks in danger of being run over. Officer Mark James no doubt expected a run-of-the-mill traffic stop when he caught sight of a traffic violator doing 52 in a 30-mile-per-hour zone. Just as the chase began to escalate and looked like it could become fodder for Fox's recently cancelled reality show Cops, the traffic officer caught sight of a mother duck and her two ducklings making their way across the busy highway. Officer James abandoned the hot pursuit to help escort the fluffy creatures across the road. Even though the officer resumed the chase soon after, the suspect managed to get away. While the bulk of the video's YouTube comments commend the officer for helping the winged family, there's a fair share of commenters suggesting that deploying adorable ducklings would serve as a wise police distraction for future speeders.